Hey, this is Drew Baird from Moon Audio, and I'm here today to talk to you about Rosson Audio and their new headphone, the RAD-0 Artisan Headphone. Alex Rosson is one of the original founders of Audeze headphones, and that's sort of why I've got a couple of Audeze headphones here on the table, because they share a little bit of similarities. Alex comes from a planar dynamic background, so he's continued to stick with what he knows, planar dynamic drivers. And on the table here, I've got two of my favorite Audeze headphones, and two of the models that I think in combination sort of sound like the RAD-0 headphone. So the Audeze LCD3, the pre-phaser design was one of my all-time favorite headphones. It was very smooth, very warm, lush, big bass, really musical headphone. When they changed, and this is the new phaser design, it became a little more resolving on the top end and not as warm and romantic and lush as the original. But I'm going to compare the RAD-0 to the original non-phaser design. Then we've got here the LCD-X. The LCD-X and the XC were brought out to give a contrast to the original LCD2 and 3, which were very warm sounding. People were asking for a little more top-end sizzle. The 2s and the 3s were a little rolled off. That's what gave it its warm musical tonality. They wanted a little more detail, resolution, speed, and so the X and the XC were brought out. Since Alex was one of the original founders of Audeze headphones, some of the house sound sort of transferred with him when he branched out on his own. And I really think that it's sort of a combination of the 3 and the X. I still get some of the musicality from the 3, but we're still getting the detail and top-end resolution of the X. So it's sort of a combination of these two headphones. They both have really good bottom-end weight. They both have speed because they're large planar dynamic drivers. But I think the top end and the musicality, it's a combination of not just warmth, but it's still sort of detailed on the top end. Sort of like the Focal Utopia. The Focal Utopia, very musical, but very detailed on the top end. And that's what I think Alex has gotten and done very well with this RAD-0 design. Something also that's very special about these headphones is every one of them is unique. In other words, these cup designs he's creating every day with different colors, different materials. No two headphones look the same. We call this one Ocean Breeze, and there's all kinds of greens and purples and cream and all kinds of different variation to the design. He changes out the grill colors based on the colors. It can either come with a gold, a silver, a black, a brushed finish, a glossy finish. Lots of variation to these headphones. So when you're buying a pair, you're buying one unique pair that only you are going to have and no other person is going to have. Sticking with the Audeze headphones is the weight. They are heavy. I wouldn't say that they're as heavy as some of the really heavy Audeze models. I'd put them somewhere in the middle, sort of like the LCD-X. Alex likes his headphones heavy. And the reason for that are the large magnet structures and the planar dynamic drivers. And that's what provides that sort of meaty, full, big bottom end weight to the sound. These are a low impedance headphone. They're not terribly difficult to drive, but with all planar dynamic headphones, I always recommend to people the more power you can provide to them, the more they're going to excel, the more they're going to reach that peak performance. You can drive these pretty efficiently with just about any device, but really something with a little bit of power behind it is really going to get this to the real extreme, really good sounding point of the performance. Big fan of the headphone. They've changed the headband design a little bit. I think it's a little bit more comfortable than the Audeze design because now we've got this foam on the top side. It's an all-metal design on the headband. They've gone through a few iterations at Audeze and now finally settled on some carbon fiber designs to reduce some weight. This headband, like the cups, can come in different colors. It'll come in black or silver. The leather always will be black as seen in this model. The cable connection type is different than Audeze. They're not using the mini XLR. They're using a 3-pole, 3.5 millimeter connection. The termination type is a little bit different than everybody else. So if you've got Focal clear cables, upgrade cables that you've purchased, they will not work with the Rosson design. He's using a unique pinout. So if you want to do upgrade cables, you'll have to do a separate cable. You won't be able to use some of your other cables. That's a little bit of a disappointment. But like I said, great bottom end weight, good musicality, good top end detail. I think you're really going to love this headphone. And we're writing an article that will be going into a lot more detail about the design and the nuances of this headphone. So look for that. We're going to provide a link in this video that you can check that out. Thanks for joining us.